Welcome to the chapter of stress hormones. In this episode, shall we have a closer look at the 3 important stress hormones and how they affect our brain and body when we are exposed to stress by a narcissist. The 3 hormones are adrenaline, cortisol, and endorphins. Let's start with adrenaline. Adrenaline is our fight hormone that is released when we are in a stress situation where we shall use a lot of energy, so we are ready to fight or flee the dangerous situation. The process is that the brain sends signal to the adrenal cortex with a message to release adrenaline hormones. The release of the adrenaline affects the heart, so the pulse and the blood pressure is raised. At the same time is the bronchs in the lungs extended, so they will be provided more oxygen to the muscles. But the adrenaline also releases an energy bomb by extracting energy from our fat depots and increase the blood sugar. All is transported around to our entire body by the blood veins. If this energy package is not burned or used by physical activity in a fight or flee, it will be stored in our body and blood veins. If this happens, we will be exposed to a large list of disease. Just to mention some: heart disease, increased blood pressure, diabetes 2, kidney damage, problems with digestion, weight loss or weight gain, breathing issues, ineffective immune system, blood clots, and many other health issues. With that in mind, it is very dangerous to release too much adrenaline over a long period if the adrenaline is not burned off. The second hormone that is released from the adrenal cortex is cortisol, which is the next hormone we shall have a closer look at. Cortisol is the really bad guy when we are talking about stress. Let's have a look. Cortisol is, in a non-stress situation, a support hormone that have a lot of positive functions. It supports the cleaning process of our brain when we are sleeping. It supports our immune system in the fight against infections. Also, it has a very large role in our sleeping process. The release of cortisol can be illustrated as a wave. Under normal conditions, it will be at its highest release level in the morning and be at the lowest release level in the evening, just before we are falling asleep. The regulation of the cortisol release is normally controlled by another hormone called HTCH that's released from brain. So in normal situation, it controls our sleeping pattern. Cortisol has also other functions. For example, it supports our sex hormones, estrogen and testosterone. So when our cortisol release is in balance, it is a hormone that supports us. But when we are exposed to stress, the release of cortisol is increased to a much higher level and will then be dangerous to us. In a way, you can see cortisol as a cleaning product. When used in a low mixture, it supports our brain and body. But if the mixture contains a high level of cortisol, it will damage our brain and body. Another picture could be mixing lemonade. In the right mix, it tastes great, but added too little water, the taste gets too strong. The high level of cortisol will inflict our system and make it difficult to fall asleep. When that happens, it will be difficult to maintain our body and brain. The primary is happening when we are sleeping. Our sleep is unfortunately not the only function that is affected by the increased cortisol release. Important vitamins and minerals are also affected in a negative way. The increased level of cortisol is simply breaking down these important building blocks we need to repair and maintain our body and brain. Also is increased level of cortisol breaking down our B and T cells. There is an important part of our immune system when it comes to cancer and other serious disease. At the same time, happens a declassification of our bones, and hair can turn into gray or simply start to fall off. An indication of a high level of cortisol release can many times be seen in our nails and having an uneven surface and perhaps contain white spots. Also, your hairbrush contains more hair after use than normal. Besides what already mentioned, will the situation reduce the white blood cells? Our internal system is starting to collapse. The system for blood sugar and calcium is getting out of balance, so you are now exposed for a long list of disease. Cancer, skin disease, blood clots, dementia, and a lot of other serious disease. The list is extensive. Most important is an increased level of cortisol is that it also inflicts your brain. Maybe you remember I mentioned in the chapter about the brain that our Center for Short-Time Memory and Solutions Center, hippocampus, is getting smaller due to exposure of long-time stress. The synapse in hippocampus is vulnerable due to the situation of increased cortisol. So it's not only because the brain temporarily is shutting down, it's also due to an internal biochemistry exposure. The last hormone we will have a look at are endorphins. You probably know endorphins from a situation where you have hit a finger with a hammer or get it pinched. In the beginning you feel pain, but after a short time you will feel relief for a short period before the pain kicks in again. That relief period you experience is the endorphins kicking in. Endorphins are a pain reliever hormone we subjected from the purple gland. Again, this is a part of the limbic system or defense system against dangers. In a fight, we can simply not survive if we are paralyzed by pain. In a narcissistic relationship, is endorphins playing a role? This hormone, combined with the brain is blocking for pain signals, plus the narcissistic psychic manipulation, explain why you could stay so long in the toxic relationship without receiving the alarm signals from your brain and body, even that it was under heavy attack. Once you have ended up in the narcissistic stress, you are trapped in a vicious circle where the stress hormone is transported around in your body and to the brain via your blood veins, create an unbalance. This situation of unbalance will create even more stress. The circle is highway to hell and can have fatal or serious health-related consequences if you don't break out of the circle by going no contact. You now have an insight of why you are getting out of the narcissistic relationship. Feel like you have been fighting a bear. I know this is scary information, but take it easy. We will bring order in the system again in the chapter Toolbox. This was all about stress hormones. In the next chapter, shall we have a closer look at the stress symptoms.